Alrighty, folks, I have a real treat for you today. I have the founder of Real Bricks with us. Again, somebody who's doing fractional lending. This is a part of the market that I think is going to 10 or even 100x over the next decade. But I thought we should step back and really ask, what's the mission? What's the purpose? What's the vision of Real Bricks? And nobody better than the founder. How you doing, Chris? What's going on?
Good. I'm good. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it. And yeah, excited to talk about this.
Absolutely. So we've had Nick on a couple of times. He's done a great job, talked about it, shown the application, and even last time we spoke, brought on a one rental at a time fan who'd already made a commitment. But since you're the founder, I thought we'd step back and go, what was the vision? What were you thinking you would kind of solve or address in the market when you said, you know what, let's go after this crazy idea of starting a company called Real Bricks and let's do something that not many people have done. What's the mission?
Yeah, I think that the question is what was I thinking?
Yeah. What are you doing?
If I knew what it would take to get it to this point, prematurely, I don't know. Maybe I would have had different thoughts. It's definitely been a difficult road, but really the vision here, in kind of what was happening was in 20, I had another startup that I did, and it was more of a apparel based startup, and I did a lot of IP with that, so intellectual property for like fabrics and stuff. And what I realized was I wanted to create something that would allow people to invest in real estate. I was one of those guys who worked for myself in the beginning, 1099. The banks hated it. The banks absolutely hate it. I think they still do.
They still do. Yes.
And my wife and I'm like, this is so screwed up. Like we're doing really well. We're financial, but the banks don't like that I'm not a W-2.
Right.
And at the time I'm like, we can't even buy, like, we're making enough money. We can clearly buy a home. We can afford a home. But the banks were like, we're not going to lend. We're not, all these different things. And so that was, that was a struggle for me. And because I wanted to do my own thing. I didn't want to I did the W-2 thing, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And I wanted to become who I wanted to become. And so I was basically, ex-nayed from the ability to do a lot of things because of that, unfortunately. And I think there's a lot of people in the world that are going through the same thing. And that's really where it started. I was like, you know what? If I'm running this problem, there's millions of people running this problem. The other thing was I was like, man, what if we could buy more assets? What if we could assets? If we could buy rentals? I mean, we can't do any of that because they don't like the fact that we're, 1099, I'm 1099, not W-2. And that was really the kind of the thing that sent me into this this rabbit hole. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to create something that allows people like me, who at the time you couldn't do these things, the ability to buy into real estate, because I knew real estate was a wealth building tool. And so it was kind of hard for me to digest that I was kind of excluded from that in my early 30s because I didn't want to do the mainstream thing.
Yeah. I really love it when there's a founder who's mission driven, right? Who has a fire and can remember the stress of why they're doing this. And I'm glad to hear this passion that you have for it, because you're absolutely right. There's millions of people who get told no by banks because banks have this little, box, and they push a button and they go, approve eligible, fingers crossed. Oh, nope, you're not in. You can't play. Sorry, you can't build wealth. Whatever. And then you add on top of that, this is probably just good timing, which, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. We have near record low affordability.
Yeah.
And, only year worse was 1981. So it's really bad. And, there's a lot of people in my universe, right? We've been doing one rental at a time for 8 years now. A lot of people want to get started, but the market's getting away from them, right? It takes a long time to save up 20, 25% to get approved for an investment loan. And what I saw, and the reason I invited Nick to the channel, was this is a way for people to get started with as little as $100, if memory serves. Yeah. And, I'm not telling anybody to take their emergency fund and put it here, but damn it, if you're putting money away and stacking it to buy assets, why not start buying assets? and you could do that here instead of waiting to get that 20-25%. So I think great timing on that part.
Yeah, the timing, timing is so sometimes so divine, and yeah, no, as after 2020, and you remember we had that dip in 2020, and then it was like boom surge, right? But I think the thing that I've realized, and I try to tell people is as long as the Fed is going to continually print money, which seems to be there's no way out of it.
Inflation's a feature, not a bug.
As long as the Fed prints money, your housing costs are going to go up.
Yeah.
So you might as well get on the escalator now. And this is one of the easiest ways to become an asset owner
Mm-hmm.
out there. And that was
Yeah.
really the key, right? Like we knew fundamentally it would take some time to grow. And really what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to be a company that was like, we start to build something, we go get VC funding, and now we
Mm-hmm.
have to like through the roof.
Right.
And we become kind of like just a sales machine, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we didn't do that, until this day. We still haven't taken on VC funding. It's all been private through people we
Nice.
know personally, and we've raised a considerable amount of money. And it's really because they all believe in the vision and what we're doing. And
Mm-hmm.
we're like, okay, it might take us a little while to really grow and scale this, because we got to make sure we put the fundamentals in place that our customers can grow with us. But that's
Yeah.
that's the key, right? If they're not growing, we're not growing.
Amen.
We have to do it.
Yeah. The other thing, again, talking about timing being divine, the other thing you have at your disposal, but I think this is going to be a very short window in my experience, is you have a lot of new home builders that have inventory that they don't want and they're willing to discount. I read an article about Invitation Homes, for example, that's getting, significant discounts to the tune of 20%. Why do I bring this up? I think one of the things you're going to find, at least with my audience, is there's a lot of real estate investors, myself included, who have, let's just call it old inventory, right? A tired home. We're talking 1950s, 1920s, even 1900s on the East Coast. And there is super sexiness in being an owner of a new construction, especially new construction that's bought at a deep discount,
Yep.
right? Which improves cash flow and yield and all of those things. So I think one of the things, Nick and I talked about last time was just you're adding new construction to the mix, which again, you're going to have this time where you can swing a big weight or mass and pick up some deals. So are you seeing that as well?
Oh yeah, 100%. And we're working with the builder now, and we're leveraging that partnership right now. But I think really what we're seeing is we can work with multiple builders, and
Absolutely.
we just have to have the amount of users. And so we're looking at distribution in a completely different way. Sure, we have our face forward app, where you can get on the app, you can get on the website, but really down the road, I mean, right now, what partnerships we're looking at is distribution partnerships. So other platforms that want to offer what we call like a real world asset class and distribute to their people. We know that we can go to our builders and we can, man, I wish I had the users to do this, but I'll take one of our builder partnerships, for example. I mean, they're like, you want 5,000 homes a year? We can give you 5,000 homes. We can give you 5,000 brand new homes a year.
Yeah.
If that's what you guys can, fill. And I
Yeah.
think that the idea is that, down the road, we have to kind of change our mind about how we look at things. So as people, and I think that the builders definitely, yes. And I don't think just builders. I also think that there will be opportunity where even homeowners, instead of doing a reverse mortgage, imagine if you're 60 years old, you want to stay in your home for the next 10 years, and you could sell the interest in your home, do a lease back for 10 years.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Well,
Shocking. Yeah, it's
that could
actually, yeah.
happen. That can happen, and I believe will happen.
No, I think there's a lot of things. Again, I think fractional real estate investing is just at its infancy and will literally 10 to if not 100x. And again, I think the beauty of this is if you get the weight in the user base, right? Consumers kind of saying, yeah, I want to get a part of this. You really could take down 5,000 homes a year.
Oh yeah.
Because again, there's plenty of mom and pop real estate investors that want to be a part of this. And it would not shock me if you get to that point in the next couple of years. I just think you've got the wind at your back.
I think that 5,000 to 10,000 single family homes a year. I think commercial real estate assets, land, rent cash farm land.
Mhm.
I think the reality is what we are realizing is we have a way that we can do exclusive contracts with anyone,
Right.
a homeowner to purchase through fractionalization. So if we wanted to, I live in the country, so I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at probably just in front of me, 10,000 acres of corn, soybean, everything.
Yep.
These are all being farmed every year. I mean, down the road, this is a way for people to, instead of all the corporations owning all the farmland and all the homes, the
Yep.
big players, so it's really where, people can become the owners of these assets, everyday
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. And I think that's, it's funny. I'm wearing a hat that says everyday wealth builders. And that's really what I see this as just another platform, a vehicle, a little diversification, get around the country. One of the things that I often poo poo is out of state investing, because I think a lot of new investors get taken advantage of. This is a way you get into a team that's doing this and has roots in these areas, and you're not reliant on some team that you don't know, right? To do all these things, a property manager, a painter, and you get taken advantage of. But and again, this is a way to get the average inventory newer, which I think is a huge win. So talk about your kind of avatar, right? Who's the person that needs to look at this, check out the website, and maybe take a look at some properties. Who is that person?
I think that person is really everyone, really, and I say that in all seriousness. I say that with, whether you're a physician who's making $350,000 a year or 400, whatever, or a person who's doing mochas at a coffee shop making 50 grand or 40 grand a year, or someone who's maybe working at a gas station who's making 30 grand a year. I think
Mhm.
the whole point that I wanted to create this was for everyone to be able to partake. And what we're seeing, and I think is we're seeing a mixture of all of that. And
Mm.
you think about like a physician, right? Like they're working, a lot of them are working 60, 70 hours a week, right? They want to be able to put their money somewhere. So here's a place where they can put, maybe 15 or 20, $30,000 in each property, and they
Mhm.
don't have to worry about dealing with it. They can collect a dividend every
Mhm.
quarter, right?
Yeah.
And then that same mantra goes to a person who is making, 30 grand a year, who's putting, maybe a few $100s a month into the platform, and they're also getting a dividend. I think one of the things that I've realized that I kind of really, when I was younger, I got involved in. I think I did my first trade when I was, wasn't as young as Warren Buffett, but I think I was 19. I did it on E-Trade. No. My first one was when I graduated high school when I was 18. I went down to U.S. Bank to deposit my graduation money. This is a reality.
Mm.
Um, I deposited $10,000. It was all in cash. This was
Mm.
in 2001. It's a lot of it's a chunk of money, right? And I remember the lady. She pulled me aside. She goes, "You should really put some of this money into mid cap and large caps and all this stuff." Right. So being a young, naive guy who's like, okay, yeah, these guys will know. I ended up putting like 8,000 of the $10,000 into U.S. Bank Corp. Right
Uh,
at the time, I remember it because I lost so much money. Okay. And this was in 2001. And what happened was like, I'm like, look, I would look at my account and it was just like steadily declining. And I'm
yeah.
like, wait a minute. They told me now,
They told
obviously,
me to
if
go
I would
up.
have stayed in it, you don't necessarily have the muster to sit those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
$1,000 is a lot of money. You're like, I freaking lost $1,000. Like that's a lot of money. And anyway, that was my first intro. And then what happened was after I lost enough money, I went ahead and I decided to do it myself on E-Trade. I took the money out and did it myself on E-Trade. And then when Robinhood came out, I was like, okay, oh, this is great. I can do this and
Right.
not pay all these fees. And
Right.
that was really where the foundation of like me understanding like some of this trading stuff came into play. And I'm like,
Mm.
now I can make an app that allows not only primary investment, but secondary. So We will launch the secondary market in February.
Nice.
We don't think it's gonna, it's not gonna be like everyone's, you know,
Yeah.
trading, but the idea is it's there, and we'll build
Yeah.
upon it and let people have access to it.
No, I think you're onto something. Again, the secondary market will be important. Kind of that creates the liquidity if somebody had to get out. But again, I think you're on the cusp of something. And I think there's lots of reasons people should dollar cost average. Lots of
Yep.
reasons to diversify. And again, kind of removes the risk from the situation. Plus, you're going to gain weight in acquisitions. You're going to be able to buy at deeper discounts. So, I see nothing but excitement ahead for Real Bricks. Obviously, you'll have your ups and downs, and you're running and growing a business is never easy. But when you're mission driven like this, I think you're going to stay in the battle and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a battle, but at the end of the day, the reality is, let's help people build their wealth. We can take a lot of the weight off of them and let them
Hmm.
focus on the things that they want to focus on, and really let them have the time that they want to have, because time is money.
Yep,
And
time
a
is
lot of
everything.
people,
Yep,
their time is meaningful. So why deal with all the headaches of this stuff when it's like, let us deal with it as we grow. We know we'll get even deeper discounts from builders,
yep,
and I think you're dead on with where this is going to go. I believe that this might be one of the largest spaces we've ever seen, that we will see grow in the next 20 years. Like, if you think
good.
about where we're at today, we're tiny. Like, nobody even knows
Yes,
this is
you're
an
just
option.
fine. Agreed, 100%. Again, folks, if you want to get started with this, Real Bricks is offering you an opportunity. Go to realbricks.com. The code is ORAT50. If you did put in $100, they'll give you 50, so that's a 50% return. But again, you can get $50 on your first trade investment. Any closing thoughts, Chris?
Nope, just well, I guess yeah, I would say appreciate you having me on, and hopefully we can meet the expectations of the people who believe in us.
I look forward to that. Thank you, buddy. The feedback thus far has been amazing, so I appreciate that. My audience lets me know. Have a great time. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You got it.